Hello, hello. I'm Lori Alvarez, and I welcome you to Real Estate with Soul, the podcast. This is where I will share my story, knowledge, wisdom, and the legacy in real estate, and my family, all boldly wrapped up in one with you. So let's get started. Well, we're back, sister.
Yay.
Ooh, I just spit all over you. Now you're full of COVID.
Don't spray it. Sheesh.
I'm serious. Hey, we have an awesome guest on today, right?
I know. Awesome.
We're so excited. We have Stephen Thomas on, who has a ton of real estate knowledge about what the real estate market's doing. Stephen, can you please just introduce yourself and tell everyone how brilliant you are, because it's amazing to me how much you understand.
Yeah, I'm Stephen Thomas with Reports on Housing. I do Southern California housing reports. I have 5 of them for San Diego, Los Angeles, Orange County, San Bernardino, and Riverside. And we're looking to expand Bay Area, Vegas, and Phoenix next. And I just bring housing analytics. I try to make as much sense of it as possible, put it in layman's terms so that people can make sound decisions, buyers and sellers. That's really what it's about.
Yes. I appreciate that. Like last night myself, I mean, we personally, first, let's start here. Stephen and I connected at a great event. He was there speaking, sharing what was happening with the real estate forecast for 2022. And I was just so impressed with the knowledge and all the information you shared. I also subscribed to it and said, oh my gosh, I have to have all this information to share with our clients and helping them make great decisions also. I mean, you just pulled like so much together. So Stephen, I want to start here. We had a client, I mentioned this as we were getting ready to come on the podcast. We had a client the other day who texted and he's like, Lori, do you have all of what's happening with foreclosures? Do you have early access to the foreclosures? And I'm going to be honest, we've had a couple of clients who seem to be reaching out about their concerns for foreclosures. So let's start there with the real estate forecast for 2022 and foreclosures, Stephen. What are you seeing?
Yeah, so we're going to go from 0 foreclosures and short sales to maybe 50 or 100 in the marketplace, that type of thing. So the headlines will sound sensational. It'll sound like 3 times as many as last year, but 300% rise still puts us back to like 2017, 2018 levels of short sales and foreclosures. And anybody that was looking for a short sale or foreclosure back then, you were hard-pressed to find anything, and you're hard-pressed to find anything now. And to sit there and wait for something to come on is just an exercise in futility. It's just not going to happen. The problem comes from forbearance. Everybody thinks that everybody's in forbearance. What they don't understand is now we're down to 1.1 million people in forbearance. That is it. And 28% of all people prior to the Great Recession, or during the Great Recession, 28%, right when we started it, 28% of everybody in when we started the Great Recession had negative equity, meaning that they had 0% equity or less. Now it's down to 1.1 million people who are in forbearance, yet 93% of those 1.1 million people have at least 10% equity, which means what?
Yes.
They can sell their house if they need to.
Yes.
So, and some of them go down the route, unfortunately. So keep track of these people when they become a foreclosure or they go into a notice of default. Check to see if they have equity. A lot of these people will have equity. You can contact them and actually sell their house, and they still profit, and they get a check at the end of the day. Those will be really easy homeowners to find when they have those initial NODs. That's my recommendation, is to track those kind of people. That's going to be your giant wave, because there's going to be very few foreclosures and short sales.
I appreciate that, because I was talking to my short sale negotiator, because I came into the business right before the Great Recession, right before. So I came in like right around 2006, got a little bit of like, ooh, this is an amazing market, to, woo, here we go. Yeah. And I had to figure out how to do short sales. And I knocked them out. I figured them out. And I had an amazing short sale negotiator. And I just spoke with her the other day. And I said, hey, Dorothy, what do you see? And you see any short sales yet? And she said, oh, yeah, just a couple the other day. She took a couple listings because the seconds are the ones that are like, oh, Mr. Homeowner, you have equity. I'm going to go in and get your equity and get paid back on my second, right? I mean, that's where we're going to see a little bit of that.
Yeah, you're going to see a little bit of an increase of the people that are still in dire straits, and they'll need to sell. It won't be that. You have to understand that right now they actually turned the notice of defaults and the foreclosure engine back on. So we went from very, very few and nothing really happening to a few going on, because you still have to understand there was 6 million people have come out of forbearance so far. 6 million. And out of those 6 million, there's like 222,000 that are no longer negotiating anything, and they're still in default, which means they're most likely going to become a foreclosure or short sale. And I'm not talking like 222,000. I'm talking about 222,000 across the United States.
Yeah.
So because you do more volume, you're going to see a few more of those in your marketplace, but it's not going to be anything like what anybody expected. The only people that I'm hearing that there's going to be a big wave from in the real estate industry are the people that did foreclosures or short sales or worked with asset management companies, because they're hearing things. But I've always heard about people that are hearing things, and I'm looking at the data. Data doesn't support what they're hearing.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I did do a search on the MLS for all foreclosures and notice of defaults in the entire MLS, and there was, I think when I did this was like 3 weeks ago. I think it came up with a total of 200, maybe 300 properties total of the entire MLS, right?
Yeah.
I just checked and I was like, of the entire MLS, that's like 0.5%, not even that, 0.25%. So it's just crazy what people's beliefs are because they hear on the news, just like you said, the sensational headlines, right? The sensational headlines.
And it's a storyline that sells. So that headline sells. If I said, aren't going to be any foreclosures next year, no one's clicking on it.
Yeah. Gosh darn it, we want those clicks. So let's get into that. Here's the truth. What are you seeing for 2022 for, let's call it LA County, Orange County, Inland Empire, kind of those areas? Right? What are you seeing, San Bernardino?
So unfortunately, San Bernardino is one of those markets where we're not going to come all the way down to where we started this year. But for most counties like LA, Orange County, San Diego County, definitely starting off the year less than the number of homes that we started off this year. And this year was really, really low. And it was an all-time low number of homes available. I call it a supply crisis, and the supply crisis is growing worse because all markets have peaked except for Riverside County. They peak late because of the low desert. Everybody thinks they need to place their homes on the market in November and December, and they're wrong. But anyways, so their inventory rises during this time period, and it finally peaks right at Thanksgiving. But what we're going to do from here, all inventories are coming down, because we've already peaked, and it's going to hit another all-time low since I started tracking it way back when. So it's just not enough homes in the market. It's a total supply crisis. It's the opposite of the Great Recession, which everybody compares today to is this Great Recession or prior to it. You got in 2006. Let me tell you, that was the fall of 2005 is when I started to see the inventory rise, and we had a supply glut. Too many homes on the market in 06, 07, and 08. So
I remember 2011, San Dimas had a total of, San Dimas is obviously where we specifically live. San Dimas had a total of 111 houses on the market in 2011. Today, I checked, we have 26.
Yeah.
26.
Nothing.
I'm in a storm in San Dimas.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I'll bet you that in 2007, at the height of it, it was probably close to 180 homes on the market.
Oh,
remember then that was when there was a listing on every single street or two on every single street.
Yeah.
Because now you're probably to find one in the neighborhood.
Yes, because in 2006, I was brand new, so I didn't know that I should track numbers. I had no clue. I was just like, I got a license, sign here. I got a license, sign here. And then in 2000, probably 2010, I got a business coach who said, you should really understand what's happening with our inventory. And I was like, oh, okay. And so ever since then, I've been learning. And that's when when I heard your presentation, I was like, oh my gosh, he's going to take me to another level because you have such an understanding of not only just the real estate market, but the whole economy in general, bringing it all together so it makes great sense. So, I want to go back to because we do have Riverside County buyers and the Inland Empire buyers. Why is their market so different over there?
Riverside County and San Bernardino County. San Bernardino County peaked late in September. That's a little later than normal. There are markets across the U.S. that peak in September versus August. Typically, it's peaks between July and August prior to the kids going back to school. The reason it peaks is because as soon as the kids go back to school, which is end of August, that's when families don't like to make a move. But for some reason, in some of these markets, it's like some people are they're so excited about how great they've heard the real estate market has been that they continue to place their homes in the market all the way through September. But we peaked pretty much everywhere, like I said, except for Riverside County. Riverside County marches to the beat of its own drum, and that's because of seriously, the Palm Springs, Palm Desert, that whole area out there, they think that because they're snowbirds that they should place their homes on the market later in the year. So their inventory actually builds right now, and then it falls after Thanksgiving, and then starts to build again. And their peak every year is in February, which is not normal for the inventory. And then they have a second peak at Thanksgiving. All because of the
I love that you can get so specific to our local, because I mean, everyone just listens to the news, and that's like a general statement of our worldwide real estate market, not specific to the counties that we're serving. So, Stephen, one of your articles that I read and watched on your YouTube video, right, was the one where you said buyers need to jump back in the market, right? They're on the rings. I'm a boxer, so I love that. So when I saw that graphic, I was like, good job. I love that.
Yeah.
And my sister being the buyer's agent on the team, why do our buyers need to get back out there? What's going on there?
Well, we haven't. Which way are interest rates headed? If you're dealing with buyers, you know which way interest rates are headed right now.
Yeah.
We're making our way towards 3.25%.
Yeah.
And we were hovering right around 2.86%. That's the national numbers. When they do a survey, Freddie Mac does one every single week. It comes out on Thursdays. And now that the latest one is at 3.09%, I think the next one's going to be even higher. I've been looking around at interest rates, and they're about between 3.125% and 3.25%. And we're watching that continue to go up. I like that because we need to slow down appreciation. So they want everything to slow down, not be as many buyers opting to purchase the same home that they're trying to purchase, right? Yeah. So they don't want to bump into each other. So they're rooting for the market to slow down. Well, the only thing that's going to make the market slow down is what? Higher interest rates. That's really what the problem is. So they're going to get what they want, but they're going to be paying a higher interest rate of 3.5% sometime next year. So you do the math, and we're also going to get because I told you that that with the supply crisis, we're going to start off with very few homes in the market. Remember what happens every single year? Everybody says the same thing around February. Oh my gosh, Super Bowl, this is the best time to come on the market. I'm sorry to tell you this, but it's still the dead of winter. I know it's hard to imagine that here in Southern California because all of our weather is the same, but it's still the dead of winter, and families don't like to move and place their home on the market in February. They want to place their home on the market in May. The peak month for the number of homes coming on market is May. It's wrapped around March, April, May, June. Those are the but May is the peak number. So March, at the end of March, that's the beginning of spring, and in April and May, and you get all these people that are coming on the market all at the same time. That's when they want to place their home on the market, is then not during the dead of winter.
Yes, it is really true. I mean, I met
Yeah.
with a family last night and they were like, oh, well, we're thinking we'd put it on the market near the months you were talking about. And I was like, why? Why, why when everyone's going to be on the market at that time and push your price point down?
Yeah.
So,
So,
I mean,
no,
go
but
ahead.
the buyers, they're going to be coming into the market then.
Yes.
Right after January, and when everybody's so busy and all that stuff. So what that's going to do is going to continue to push prices up because there's not going to be enough inventory still because we're driving down the interest rate because the inventory and demand plunged during the holidays from the middle of November, 1 week prior to Thanksgiving, all the way to the end of the year. So we're going to start off with very few homes in the market, but demand will start to come up before the inventory comes up. So we're going to get this run up in values for the first few months, several months. So that's where
Yeah.
we're going to get appreciation. So if you do this for buyers, you say, look, I know it's at 3.25 now, but it's probably going to be at 3.5 mid next year, and values will be up another 8%. So
Mm,
you do the math on that. Buy
that's,
now.
Right.
that's a lot of money.
Yes.
That's a lot of money. So to add to that, we had a buyer text us back the other day. We were talking to him, a prospective buyer, and they're like, oh no, it's just so expensive to buy a house right now. And I said, have you looked at what rents are? They're higher, in my opinion, than
Yeah.
mortgages.
Some of them, yeah.
And so, I mean, I said, would you please come in and sit down with us so we could give you a great buyer's consultation and share with you truly where the numbers are going so that you can make a wise decision with your money? And they just were like, oh no, prices are too high. And I'm like, oh my goodness gracious. It
Yeah.
just doesn't make sense. I mean, what are rents these days?
Going up they're skyrocketing up because there's a delay in when rents rise. Rents are rising. I don't know if you've done it, but I've looked at neighborhoods that are around me that I know what their rents were prior, and look
Yeah.
at their rents now. You look at it
Yep.
and you go, holy smokes. And there was a delay to rents even starting to rise. That's always happened. So we have appreciation in values and it pulls up rents. And that means that there's still more legs for rents to continue to rise. So, and we're seeing it across the board everywhere. I'm
Yeah.
sure you've seen it in your backyard. I've seen it in my backyard,
Yeah.
and we're seeing it everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, literally, I just rented the house down the street for one of my clients that is down the street from my personal residence, and I was like, "They got that much?
Yeah.
I might put my house up for rent because I know I'm gonna get like $1,000 more a month than what I actually pay on a mortgage.
Right.
I don't know where I'm gonna live, but
There's the rub.
little tiny apartment."
That's the rub.
But I mean, it truly is. Rents are just
Yeah,
unbelievable
it's
right
crazy.
now that it just doesn't even make great sense to rent. And you have all these sellers right now that have this mindset like, I'm going to sell my house and go rent. What are your thoughts on that, Stephen?
It saddens me. I don't know what they're waiting for. You make your money do something. Everybody's talking about inflation. The best inflation against the best hedge against inflation is real estate.
Yes.
You should really have your money in something like real estate, because if you sell and you keep your money, your money is doing nothing. Your money is actually weakening over time because of this potential inflation that everybody's talking about. So that's not a smart move. The smartest move is, if you move, then put your money to work someplace else. And if you don't have the expertise in something else, that's why you stick it in real estate, because that's the smartest long-term investment you can make.
Yeah, my CPA has told me over and over again, forget this business about a diversified market, Lori, and diversified investments. He's all, you understand and know real estate. Invest in real estate. It's your baby.
Yeah.
That's
And
it.
I'm
Go
like,
do that.
thank you. I love you. I'm just going to do that because I don't want to understand stocks and bonds. It's just so much more. So, truly, honestly, Stephen, I know that I believe in the real estate market. I just closed on a property in January in Claremont. I bought it for $415,000. I only had to overbid by $888 to get it because no one's paying attention in January, right? So
Mhm.
I got the opportunity because I was paying attention.
Yeah.
And today that same property is now worth about 510, 515. Yeah, isn't that crazy? And I'm just renting it
Wow.
out.
I said it's crazy. It has
It
been, it's just been a crazy market.
and so we're just gonna continue to see a bit of that because of the depressed inventory that we have, our housing crisis, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be, it's the definitely an inventory crisis. We're going to see this inventory crisis for a while. We're going to get more homes next year than we had this year, but this year was abysmal in that department. So any improvement is the right improvement, but it just doesn't mean that we're going to. These a lot of people are hoping for a buyer's market. It's not going to happen, but anytime soon. Like I said, prior to the Great Recession, I started to see it in the numbers in the fall of 2005. I was talking about it then. I don't see anything in the numbers right now. So if I did, I'd let you know, but not seeing anything that means that this market is shifting in any direction anytime soon, other than continuing to go the direction that it has. Yes, we'll slow down a little bit right now, but that's called Thanksgiving, the holiday
Yeah.
market that's coming, or what we're dealing with right now. This is the autumn market. So that's a natural slowdown and evolution in our real estate market. We have seasons, a seasonality to our marketplace, and that is spring is the best, then summer, then autumn, then holidays, and then
Yes.
we have winter. And
Yeah.
winter is next, and that's where we say, "Hey, homeowners, come on the market." Doesn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah. No matter how hard we work at it, we're like, "Oh, come on." It's only the serious buyers that come on the market at that time because 'cause they've got a job relocation or something of that sort.
Yeah.
They have to adjust it. So
Sure.
they move on to market. So, what else would you recommend or share with our audience for the real estate forecast for 2022? I mean, because we just keep hearing like, "Oh, it's going to crash, it's going to crash." And I'm looking around like, "How can it crash? We don't have any houses." Like it doesn't even like it's not even a common sense thing. So,
Well,
go ahead.
yeah, you need inventory.
Yeah.
And like we just said, we're not going to get inventory. We had inventory glut prior, and we had bad loans that were done. Everybody nowadays has these great loans with big down payments. They've gone above the asking price, but if the appraisal doesn't come in, they have mom and dad and somebody else in a lot of cases that have been helping out, chipping in, ask any lender. There's so much chipping in, helping out that's been happening, which has just allowed them to purchase, which has enabled everybody to maintain their equity. There's so much tappable equity out there. That means there's $9.3 trillion more tappable equity than ever before. What that is if you tap your equity, you still have 20% equity when you're done. There's $9.3 trillion of tappable equity, and they still have 20%. That's a lot of equity out there. So we're dealing with that. People are buying houses with great, strong credit, way better than prior to the Great Recession. If you were a dog or if you were dead, you could get a loan. Now you can't. The differences are great, and it's just such a stark difference comparing prior to the Great Recession to where we are today, that there's just going to be a slow evolution to a change because we can't continue to go up at a great speed. And yes, it will slow down as interest rates rise to that 3.5%. They could get as high as 3.75%, and if they do, then great. It slows it down. It makes your job as a buyer's agent easier, and
Yeah.
working with buyers better. That's really that's what buyers want. However, it's going to be a little bit more expensive, but at least we won't get this giant appreciation where everybody has this FOMO, this fear of missing out. We need everybody to be able to purchase and for values not to continue to run away. That would be
Right.
ridiculous. So that's what I'm rooting for, is higher rates and things to slow down. I think we're going to get higher rates. We're going to get sales that are a little bit less than this year. But this year, in many markets, it's the highest sales for at least for Orange County and Los Angeles, highest sales since 2005. In San Diego, highest since 2016. San Bernardino, not as great because there aren't that many homeowners that are coming on the market. So it's the highest since 2017, but it just has to do with the number of homes that are coming on the market for San Bernardino. If we placed them on the market, we would have placed them in escrow and had closed sales. So we would have had high closed sales there as well. So it's just going to be a little bit of a muting effect next year, but it'll still be good. It's just not going to be screaming upwards. So that's kind of what we're seeing right now in looking at the crystal ball.
Oh, yeah. To add to that, Cristobal. So what I'm hearing is like we should just be doing little celebratory videos for our buyers as the interest rates go up. Yay, the interest rate went up. That means you'll be able to buy soon. Yeah, it'll cost you more money, but you'll be able to buy soon.
So really, it's the people that have been involved in the market for quite some time and have seen the interest rates at 2.88%, know what that is, and then looking at 3.5%. Some of those buyers will just completely walk the other direction and go rent.
Yeah.
Because they'll be discouraged. The rest of the people that are entering the marketplace at 3.5%, those are the people that will close, and will be plenty of them out there because there's a big demographic patch of first-time home buyers. They've been waiting to purchase. They've been up against other people with a lot of cash. Those are the 32-year-olds. It's the prime first-time home buyer age is 32, and it's the strongest number of 32-year-olds ever in the history. Started last year, this year's year two, and it goes for the next 3 years. So
yeah, that's the one thing I keep hearing over and over again. Who's buying right now?
So yeah, how can these millennials have money? I thought they were all strapped with college debt. That was the story.
It's crazy to me. Like they keep saying that. Who's buying right now? Who can buy right now? Prices are so high. And I'm like, well, it's happening. And we're seeing all kinds of age. I mean, we just sold a house to a 25-year-old. He got qualified and he did it. And we got him in and we were so excited for him. Yeah. Like our buyer demographic is all over the place.
Yeah. Sure.
So who do you say specifically? Is it going to be the 32-year-olds for the next year or so?
Several years. That's a strong demographic patch. There's also the people that have been sitting on the sidelines, want to sell their house and go buy something new, but they were just too afraid of there's nothing on the market. Where am I going to go? So now that there'll be more inventory, they can trade their equity in one house and place it in the equity of another house. It's what I call monopoly money. Because people are going, how can they afford these houses? Well, they've got all this equity. They put it down on the next house, and then their loan increases from here to here because they bought a bigger house. That's what this trading up of equity is all about. And it's kind of like monopoly money because people go, I can't afford that. And then they can't do the math.
Yeah. I would agree with you because that's what we did when we bought our first house in, I think, 2000. When did I buy my first house?
Like
96. Like I bought my first house, and literally 1 year later, I bought my next house, and literally one more year later, I bought my next house. Right, and I just kept adding the 20% down and the 20% down, and then my husband said when we bought this one,
"We're not moving anymore."
No, he wanted to do exactly what I told you people do. Right, that was 96, 98, like 2000, I want to say right around there. Anyways, he wanted to do what I told you. He wanted to go rent and wait for the market to crash. I said, no, we're not going anywhere. No. Like we're going to buy this house and just hang out and watch and wait. Yeah. And now it's worth way more than we ever paid for it. So, he's thankful he's got a great realtor to direct him on what he should do with his investments.
Hey, hubby, you stay in your lane. I'll stay in mine.
You keep installing elevators. I'll take care of the real estate. Stephen, what else would you like to offer to the audience who's really it's our audience. It's just they're current homeowners and they're buyers and they're sellers and they're just kind of they're processing. When should I do this? What would be your words of wisdom to them?
It's when it's best for your family. That's really what it ultimately comes down to. Because really, it becomes a family decision, a family choice, and you've got to do your budget. If you're a buyer or you're doing anything, if you're going to sell and you're going to buy or do whatever, you go by your family budget, whatever you're comfortable with. And now we have people with good credit, and they've been working on their credit, and credit's gotten a lot better, a lot stronger. So as a result, people are doing their homework. If anything, we learned from the Great Recession, it's do your homework. get all the facts, make a proper decision, deal with your budget. Your house is not necessarily just an investment; it's home. So let's look at it as a home and make really sound decisions based upon that, and when it makes sense for your family. Because when it makes sense for your family, just do it. Know that long term, even if values go down in a year and a half from now, 10% or something like that, who cares? The long run of things, values go up. Period. I could show you from the beginning of time. It's like this. People focus on the tiny little rises and drops, but if you look at over time, there's a trend line. And that's what I do. I do trend lines. The trend is up.
Yes.
That's it. So know that you're making a wise decision by purchasing and doing something in real estate and holding. Just like what you said, what your husband said. Oh, we should sell. Exactly. How they can time the market, I don't know. They would really have to be inside of my office to understand that. But unless they're a housing analyst, they shouldn't be saying that outside out loud.
Yeah. It's all I keep saying over and over again is just schedule a consultation. We can help you see if it's the right time for your family to make that move. Because it truly is a family decision, and it comes down to personal circumstances.
Sure.
Stephen, thank you so much. You're amazing. Please tell everyone where they can follow you, find you, how they can get access to any of your information, all of that good stuff. Please share it with the world.
So yes, it's reportsonhousing.com. You can even put reportonhousing.com or reportsonhousing.com, and you get to my website. A lot of YouTube videos are posted there as well. YouTube, Facebook, it's also Reports on Housing. So we're extremely easy to find. And I go live every Friday at 3 o'clock talking about some nuance of the real estate market, trying to dispel all the myths and junk that's out there, all the negative noise and misinformation by bringing truth. And so people can make proper, set proper expectations for buyers and sellers and everybody out there so that they can make sound decisions for their families.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the podcast, because you are elevating the real estate market to another level, and it's the truth of what's happening. And I feel as if the news distorts it greatly,
Sure.
Yeah.
especially here in LA. And I don't know, all these people aren't leaving LA like they say. Yeah, they're leaving, but it's not as many as everyone says, right, Stephen?
I'll leave you on that, though, because here's the thing. UC did a big study, and what they found is, there are more people leaving. It has nothing to do with COVID. It's just a slight rise. So there's been this trend line of more people leaving, and the trend is fewer people coming in. So the net will be right around zero for California. But the reason that it's such a big story is because everybody thinks that people leave, because on our Facebook, all of a sudden we see somebody's in South Carolina, or they're in Idaho, or they're in Montana, or Nashville, Tennessee, or Texas, because when they leave, they let everybody in Facebook know that they left. So the impression is everybody's leaving, nobody's coming, because all the people that are coming to California, you're not friends with them yet.
Yeah.
So you don't know that they came. I've arrived. You don't get those.
True.
Every day I'm going to get up on my Facebook and I'm going to say, I arrived in California again.
We are still here.
We are still here.
We really appreciate you, Stephen. Thank you so much for your time. You're amazing. Keep sharing your information forward, and we'll keep being subscribed to you as well. Thank
Wonderful.
you.
Thank you. Have a great one. Thank you for having me.
You too.